Well, thank you very much. It's a great pleasure to be here. I'm going to be talking about the evolution of the industry and education, but more from a competitive landscape standpoint and the nature of competition and where hospitality is. So hopefully it'll complement what Nicholas did very well. But first I want to thank Pablo Azcárraga for inviting me here today. It's been a Congress I've been wanting to come to for the last 2 or 3 years, and I finally have a chance, so it's great to be here. It's a special time to be here for Mexico. Mexico is going through a very strong period of growth in travel and tourism. I was reviewing some of the statistics before I came, and in the last year, there was a 19% growth in inbound travel to Mexico, which is it puts it near the top in terms of globally, in terms of countries, in terms of growth in tourism. I'm going to talk about what I've seen. I'm in my 10th year as the Dean of the School of Hotel Administration at the University, at Cornell University. Before that, I spent 24 years at the University of Michigan, where I was very focused on service industries, service businesses, how they compete differently than product companies, and what that means for businesses, whether it was a travel business, a hotel business, restaurant, bank, telecom, whatever it happened to be. And one of the arguments one of the observations, and then one of the arguments, is that hospitality is more and more a central component of multiple industries. It's not just hotels and restaurants and airlines anymore. It's part of so many different industries today, and I think there's some very good reasons for that. Why hospitality is often the weak link in the activities of a service business. If there's one article I encourage everybody to read, I have all my students read, if I go back to my slides, Everyday People with Affordable Design, and they don't sacrifice on that concept. But the other principle in Porter's article is about linked activities. There's no one thing that a service business does that's any terribly different from any other service business. It's a matter of how they take all the different things they do and link them together into a seamless system. You look at any one thing that IKEA does, and I could come in as a furniture retailer and I could have a fairly good probability of copying that core competency in a year or two's period of time. And the simple observation that Porter made was, if you've got 15, 20, 25 linked activities, service activities that you link seamlessly together, what's the probability of copying that system? If the probability of copying any one link is 0.8, is 80%, it's the probability of replicating the entire system is 0.8 times 0.8 times 0.8 times 0.8, and it eventually gets incredibly small. That's why companies like IKEA have a competitive advantage that in decades, in their 60, 70 years of operation, nobody's been able to match. Now there's some examples as to where service has been a weak link. In those linked activities, what's the most difficult one to do? It's the providing of the service. It's the delivery of the service. It's what great hotel restaurant companies do. And that's where this set of linked activities tends to break down. So what we're seeing is an infusion of people trained in hospitality. We're seeing general managers of Ritz-Carlton hotels running hospital systems. We're seeing people trained in hospitality at schools like Anáhuac and Cornell going into multiple industries to practice what they've learned. So that's getting a bit into the evolution of education itself. I have a couple quick examples down here in terms of where we're seeing more and more hospitality, adventure travel, hospitality, sports management, real estate, senior living is in a huge growth. This is something that's affecting all of our developed countries. It's happening in the Western Hemisphere, it's happening in Europe, it's happening in China. As our populations age, the need for great hospitality products for elderly people. Healthcare and hospitality is a huge growth, as I mentioned. 90% of the activities in any given hospital in the United States actually involve the actual hospitality, not the clinical treatments that are being made. It's how people are being treated when they're not getting their medical treatments in the hospital that are having the biggest impact. So a couple of examples of venture travel, and I'm not above using Wikipedia myself. I Googled, and I got onto Wikipedia and said, how do they define adventure travel? And it was amazing. There's the traditional ones, from trekking in the Yukon to trekking in Argentina, to all the different variations that they list on adventure travel and tourism. And the list is pretty amazing. They talk about the evolution of accessible tourism for disabled people, cultural tourism, disaster tourism, people visiting disaster sites, ecotourism, ethnotourism, extreme tourism, people who have that extreme gene, who want to do dangerous things, ghetto tourism, jungle tourism, overland tourism, going back and revisiting Marco Polo's path on the Silk Road, these kind of traditional things. So this is an area that's just blossoming like crazy. Another one of my favorites is hospitality, sports management, and real estate. The lines between running a sports team and running a hospitality business, a restaurant business, a hotel business continue to blur. And they all merge with the real estate play. These two pictures are a couple of my favorite examples. Down here on the lower left is LA Live, Los Angeles, the city of angels, right? 15 years ago, I went to Los Angeles with my, at that time, 5-year-old son, Thomas, and they just built a brand new basketball stadium, hockey rink, in this area of Los Angeles, the Staples Center. And I was thinking, why in the world would they build this stadium in this depressed part of Los Angeles? Well, there was a more global plan there to build something called LA Live. And LA Live is now a combination of not just the Staples Center, where the Kings, the Los Angeles Lakers, the Los Angeles Clippers play basketball, the Kings play hockey, but also the Nokia Theater, several restaurants, Wolfgang Puck restaurants, a brand new JW Marriott hotel, a brand new Ritz-Carlton hotel, both of which are adding rooms because this is so popular. So you go down to LA Live now on any day of the week, and it's a mass of activity that's going on there. It is live. And now what's happened, of course, is that real estate has gained appreciably in value over that time. So it's also a big real estate play. So 2 weeks ago, I was in New York City watching the New York Mets as they were trying to clinch a playoff spot. And I guess my technology piece is I took this little picture right here with my iPhone using the panorama view. But where else can you go and get great customer service from everybody in the park? Go to a Danny Meyer restaurant, go to Blue Smoke, or go to Shake Shack and get a hamburger, while you're at the baseball stadium. So what's happening is people are realizing that the weak link in their delivery of their experience, the entertainment experience, is the hospitality link. It's the weak link in the chain of linked activities. And that's where the expertise is being focused. There are 300 events a year in Citi Field that are not related to baseball. And that's the difference between a company making money and not making money. Senior living, I mentioned, it's huge growth around the world because of the nature of our demographics and how they're changing. Providing great hospitality options, living options, graduated care options for seniors has become huge. Medical tourism, which has been a focus of this Congress before, to focus on the growth of medical tourism. Here in Mexico, I was in Istanbul recently, and we noticed the growth of medical tourism there. Places like India, it's another place where hospitality is coming in and having a huge impact. This is just a brief excerpt from if you can't read it, I will read it to you. It's a brief excerpt from a McKinsey Quarterly article. It gets to this point of why hospitality is so important in these traditional non-hospitality businesses. It says, new research indicates that U.S. patients in hospitals and their physicians are more and more likely to base their choice of hospital on non-clinical aspects of a visit. My father was a surgeon, so I know the clinical aspects are the extremely important ones as far as your health. But as we drive the variation out of heart procedures, out of chemotherapy and cancer treatments and other types of procedures in hospitals around the world, The competition is on hospitality. Yet few hospitals have the marketing skills, the organizational structure, or the operating approach needed to deliver a distinctive experience in the way that retailing and hospitality companies do. We're even developing hotel brands, excuse the phrase. This is the Even Hotels. We're in an Intercontinental Hotel, and IHG has a new brand called Even Hotels that they're just rolling out. But it's all about wellness and your well-being during your stay. So the entire hotel stay, the entire concept is focused on wellness. So those are just some examples of how hospitality and the delivery of service that we're used to teaching in a hotel and restaurant context is having an increasing impact on so many different parts of our global economy, whether in Mexico, the United States, Europe, China, and Asia. Now I want to transition to what that means for education, because there's also a significant evolution of education in hospitality going on today. And I'm going to use my own school as a very brief case study in just a second. On the left here, we have a segmentation scheme that I've used for quite some time to make a very simple point. The industry, the traditional hotel restaurant industry, requires excellent training at multiple levels. So this is not about the excellence of the training, it's about the level of the training. At the bottom of the pyramid, we're training a global workforce. In the United States has been the largest hotel market on the globe for many years, that has about 5 million hotel rooms right now. Within 2 or 3 years, China will have more than 5 million hotel rooms. Okay, so they're quickly becoming the largest hospitality market in the world. And they are exporting tons of tourists to Mexico, United States, other places. So there's a large, at the bottom of this pyramid, is hospitality training, where we provide thorough training in operations and frontline service to staff a global enterprise. At the middle of the pyramid, we need great managers. Okay, this is where we do something that a professor that's been at Cornell for a long time named Bob Chase said, we're going to teach you the hospitality business. There are a lot of programs out there that are going to teach you the hospitality business for great middle-level management. Provide thorough training in operations and the essentials of a hospitality business. But that won't necessarily teach you the business of hospitality. And that's where the evolution's been going on. At the top of this pyramid, we need people to be leaders in the industries, to lead global hospitality companies. Place students on a path to leadership in the business of hospitality. Subtle but important difference. The hospitality business versus the business of hospitality. At Cornell, we still use traditional hotel and hotel restaurant contexts to teach leaders for a global industry. Because we want to teach them how to apply theory to practice, but they're also going to get the finance, the real estate, the strategy, the organizational behavior, the human resource management, the marketing that they need to be a leader in the industry. And over here on the right, I mentioned that as travel and tourism is growing at twice the rate of global GDP, that's an important statistic. Global GDP's about 2% growth. Travel and tourism was growing at 4.5% until China started to slow down a little bit. It's still growing at close to 4%. So it's still growing at roughly twice the rate of global GDP. That's attracting people from not just from hospitality programs, but from traditional business schools into our industry because it's a growth industry. You're seeing more general management students, more MBA students coming into our industry to become leaders in our industry. So a quick case study. The Cornell School of Hotel Administration. It's really, we kind of have an issue of new Coke, old Coke. We don't really want to change the name even though we've outgrown hotel and administration. And all of our students think of themselves as hoteliers. But the school was founded in 1922. It's the oldest degree-granting program in hospitality in the world. École Hôtelière Lausanne was founded a couple years earlier, but it didn't grant a college degree. Cornell was the first to do that. We are the only standalone AACSB is the accrediting agency for business schools around the world, started in the U.S., but around the world. So we're the only standalone AACSB accredited business school grounded in hospitality. So we are actually a standalone business school that uses hospitality, again, restaurants and hotels, as a context to connect theory to practice. And we're focused on the top of the pyramid. But one of the keys is to never forget what goes on at the bottom of the pyramid. All of our students do housekeeping shifts. They all do restaurant shifts. They all work the front desk. They all have to know how to greet and satisfy and delight a customer. You're never going to become a great investor from a real estate standpoint or an investment standpoint unless you know what it is you're leading and you know the people that you're leading. So it's important to understand all that. One of the ways in which we have tried to connect some of these dots to other industries and look at some of the key issues that are causing our industry to grow and our schools to tackle more concepts is through our centers and institutes. We have a number of them here. I have them listed. I'm going to just focus on a couple of them. Entrepreneurship is huge, especially in the restaurant space. What's going on in Mexico City, what's going on in so many cities around the world in the redefinition, the creation of restaurants is unbelievable. There's a restaurant here in the hotel where you can get crickets on the menu, right, which is a traditional Mexican dish in certain parts of Mexico. My wife wasn't quite ready to try it yesterday, though. Down at the bottom is our newest institute, the Institute for Healthy Futures. The Institute for Healthy Futures is a combination, it's a collaboration between the School of Hotel Administration and the College of Human Ecology, which focuses on healthcare management, healthcare facilities design, and so we're combining to look at these issues, and again, what is a growth part for the hospitality industry, which is healthcare and wellness. This has all caused us to sort of give a little bit different advice to our students, position ourselves a little differently. About a week and a half ago, we launched a brand new website and a brand new marketing message to position ourselves differently for this new world of hospitality. And there's three components that I think are important. Increasingly, as through the examples I've given, hospitality is everywhere. Hospitality is in so many different industries right now. It's not a siloed industry. It's an important component of almost any service business. Second, we are the world's most adventurous business school. So that's the next tagline. If you look at the adventures that our students have had when they graduate, whether it's building a school for orphans in Cambodia or Panama, or building the largest, most sustainable hospitality businesses, they're adventures, and they're global. They're around the world. They're entrepreneurial. And third, it's about this business of hospitality. Okay, we've moved full-fledged from training people in the hospitality business to training leaders in the business of hospitality. But again, what makes the link and the chain so easy to break is you lose the concept of what is service and the importance of staying humble to the task and understanding service. I'll have one last quote, and that's a plaque that's in our hallway that every one of our students passes every day. It's from America's first great hotelier. His name was Ellsworth Statler. So the Statler name is all over Cornell. It's where we got a lot of our original funding. But many, many years ago, Ellsworth Statler said, "Life is service. The one who progresses more in life is the one who gives his fellow men a little more, a little better service." So you get back to what the importance is of hospitality, whether from an educational standpoint or what we do as companies in this growing area where hospitality is important. Is about remembering that life is service. Thank you very much.